here. I'm Dr. Dave Lentz. This is Dr. Scott Johnson, chiropractor down in Bluffton. Actually, who sort of introduced me to this as well. He's been a patient of mine for many years. My whole family has been. So that's sort of how I got into this. And just quick background how I sort of came into contact with the full spectrum hemp oil. And you came into my office. I'd been having people ask me about this for the last 6 months, and they'd come in and ask me, Doc, what do you know about CBD oil? And I knew nothing. So my response was, I don't know anything. I thought it was marijuana. I said, hey, you do what you want to do. I don't want any part of it. And really, that's sort of the standard response I think you get from physicians, because we don't know anything about it. It's considered a supplement. So the FDA has it sort of listed as a supplement. Probably a little bit more than just a supplement, probably more of a hormone or a neurotransmitter, but it's in the supplement category. So just a quick, so we can't really say it cures anything, or the FDA prohibits that. But what we can do is sort of talk to you about where it interacts and where it hits and some receptors and how it interacts with the body. Bear with me, I was putting this together about 11 o'clock last night. I just got back from vacation. Put it together before and then last night, so it's I'm probably more fatigued now than I was before I was on vacation. But we'll try to get through it. Yeah. Well, yes, and it did, yes. So I should stay focused tonight. But so Scott came into my office and he's had some knee issues, and his wife has had some anxiety issues, and they said, hey, Doc, we don't need our meds, we're doing great. And I said, well, what are you doing? He said, CBD oil. And I said, boy, this is a perfect time, because I was just getting ready to start researching this stuff, because I've had so many patients ask about it. And I realized they were either asking because they knew somebody that was on it, that was doing well, that was swearing by it, or that they were already trying it and were doing well, but wanted to see my reaction to it. So I figured I needed to educate myself on it. And literally 2 days later, Scott comes in and it's like, I'm doing CBD oil and I'm feeling great, playing basketball again. He had a bad knee. And so that's how I sort of got into it. So he gave me a trial pack to take home, told me to try it. I was sort of a wimp and gave it to my wife, who has a bad knee. And she was more than happy to try it. And she has a bone-on-bone knee. She's probably got an 80-year-old knee. And we had sent her to ortho, and they said, glucosamine, chondroitin, curcumin, and we'll see you when you're ready to have a knee replacement. And she was getting ready to give up tennis and pickleball, and so I said, hey, let's just try it and see what it does. This is really before I researched it to see the science behind it, but I figured she'd be a good guinea pig. And a couple of days into it, she's like, man, my knee's feeling better. And I said, man, that's crazy. It's got to be placebo effect, and so a couple days later, I said, I'm going to try it. So in the morning, I picked it up, put it in my mouth. About an hour into work, I started feeling better. And I've always ached. I've lived on ibuprofen for probably the last 15 years. And I didn't ache that day. It was the first day I really had an ache and didn't take any ibuprofen. So I'm like, man, this is crazy. I thought it was placebo. So I went off it and started aching again, went back on it, and I haven't been off it since. I've tried to diagnose myself, whether it's fibromyalgia, whether I've had some heart surgeries and stuff, which I think probably caused some cascade of inflammation in my body, and just caused me always to be very achy. But I haven't had ibuprofen, in the last 2 months since I've been on this. So it's, that for myself, that made me a believer. Then seeing my wife back to playing tennis 7 days a week and feeling good really made me a believer. Now, the one thing we did learn from her was she was feeling so good, she thought more was better, so she sort of drank a couple bottles and actually got a little more inflamed. And so that's one of the things that we will see. If you get too much, it can actually inflame joints. So you gotta, more is not necessarily better. We learned that lesson the hard way. But she backed off it for a day, got back on a regular dose and did fine. So that's sort of the background of the CBD. I've been a family practice doc in town for 18, 20 years now, so it goes by very quickly. Associate professor, I like that just because clinical associate professor at Indiana. I teach history and physical to the first year medical students. So it's not really that big a deal, but I think it looks good. So, And I usually will have my nurses call me professor every now and then, just for something to do. Like I said, I was on vacation, and this just proves it. We were in Tahoe. My brother-in-law, who is right there, is Trent Green. You can't see him very good. Ex-pro football player. In Tahoe, they do American Century's celebrity golf tournament, so he asked me to be his caddy for him. So that's me, caddy boy, right there. That's Rob Regals, 21 Jump Street, funny guy. That's Larry the Cable Guy, Jay DeMarcus from Rascal Flats, and then Trent, myself, and the other caddy. So that's, if this is sort of disorganized, that's why. It was vacation. Two things that typically get asked is what is CBD oil? What is full spectrum hemp oil? Everyone really sort of says, is that the marijuana oil? Absolutely not. It comes from the cannabis family. So the cannabis is the family or the species of the plant. Underneath that is marijuana. On the other side is hemp. Hemp has 0.3% THC or less. That's how it's grown. Marijuana contains about 5 to 30% THC, probably even more now that they're synthesizing it and doing other things with it. So it comes from the same family, two different plants. And the full spectrum hemp oil we sell has 0 THC, 0.0% THC. I think it's really 0.0003%, but essentially 0 THC. And THC is that psychoactive part, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. So that's the main difference. So it's not marijuana oil, it's full spectrum hemp oil. And that's the first question you get. Second question is, does it pop drug screens? And because it doesn't contain the THC, most drug screens don't look for THC, they don't look for cannabinoids. And I think you'll see going forward, all drug screens will just be looking for marijuana or THC and not cannabinoids. But it does not, and so you can't really see these too well, but that's his drug screen after being on it 5 or 6 months, 5 months, and it's down here is marijuana, it's negative, it's actually all negative, so he's clean.
And I've not missed a day, and some days take 2 doses.
Yeah.
So,
this was mine after being on it about a month, and again, all negative, same things. Did not miss a dose, taking, probably 16, 18 drops a day. So it theoretically should not pop a drug screen. If the 0.3% is what's legal in Indiana, 0.3 or less. Like I said, this is really 0.0% THC. I've seen a couple cases where people say they were doing the 0.3% and accumulated over time that they did pop a drug screen. So you got to be very careful on what you're taking, and most of them around in the vape shop stuff they're selling are 0.3%. So it does have a little bit of THC. Again, that's probably not enough that it should pop a drug screen, but there's definitely reports out there that it does, and so that's one of the advantages of the UltraCell is that it really contains no THC. This little cartoon. This is my little, my soapbox. Unfortunately, medicine's sort of going where we're so worried about the computer inputting data and the insurance companies are making us hit all these markers and these meaningful use that a lot of times we just forget to look at the patient. That's my soapbox, but that's one thing that just perturbs me about the way medicine's going is that we're really not taking the time to look at the patient, listen to the patient, and understand them. The history of hemp is very interesting, and that was one of the things that intrigued me the most, was just finding out all the history on this. Hemp is one of the earliest cultivated plants we have out there. It used to be known as a miracle plant in ancient times. It's been used medicinally for about 6,000 years. 1492, Christopher Columbus used hemp sails and hemp rope to come to America. The Declaration of Independence is written on hemp paper. Our founding fathers were hemp farmers. George Washington and John Adams were all hemp farmers. So it's been around forever. It's had known medical purposes. Eli Lilly, Bristol Myers Squibb, Abbott, Park Davis, all had cannabis products. And the cannabis products is referring more probably to the marijuana side of things and not the hemp, but they did also have some hemp products as well. But they knew it worked. It was the third most prescribed medical agent for 60 years prior to the prohibition in 1937. You can't see that too well, but that's Lilly's extract. And they touted it as using it for seizures, for migraines, and for female problems. I assume that's menstrual cramps or PMS or something, but that's what they touted it as. And then really until 1937, we were using it, from a medical standpoint. Then in 1937, they put out the Marijuana Tax Act. There's some conspiracy type theories on why they did this, but it more than likely is that they were trying to get rid of hemp, and it was probably the DuPont family, the DuPont chemical family, the Hearst family, who were the paper and the tabloid family, because they knew hemp was a better product, and you can make oils, natural oils from hemp. You can make clothing, fabrics, rope, everything that DuPont was doing at the time, and also from a paper standpoint, you can make significant amount more paper per acreage than you can with trees. And I think Hearst had just bought 1 million acres of trees for his tabloids. So I think if you look at that, that's probably why they said, let's get rid of hemp. How can we get rid of it? Well, they said, let's attach it to marijuana. We'll put a marijuana tax out there because marijuana's bad. And so it sort of got passed without anyone really knowing what happened and that hemp was even in it. And then it's sort of stuck since then.
Yes.
Yeah, and we finally did pass it that, as long as the CBD oil contains, or hemp oil contains less than 0.3%, it's legal in all states. So, and Indiana was one of the last to get that passed, but it finally did, which is still a little surprising. So some of the research with cannabinoid medicine is Dr. Raphael Mitrulum. He's from Hebrew University in Israel, and he's done tons of studies. He actually discovered THC, which is the psychoactive part of the cannabis, in 1964. Discovered the first endocannabinoid, anandamide, in 1992. Still working today, I believe, too. He's really a big time, probably the father of the research and science behind it. We have 2 endocannabinoids in our body. The anandamide was the one that we said was the first one discovered. The second one is 2-AG. 2-AG is the most abundant in our body. It regulates the immune function, pain signals, energy storage. Why do we call them endocannabinoids? First, the plant was named first, so it's the cannabis plant is where it comes from. The compounds from the cannabis plant are cannabinoids. Where they work are the cannabinoid receptors in our body. We have our own endocannabinoids in our body, and so that's why they call them endocannabinoids. And then the receptors, they work out of the cannabinoid receptors, and then the plant makes phytocannabinoids, which are very similar to our own endocannabinoids, and phyto meaning plant, so those come from the plant. So that's sort of where the naming comes from. Phytocannabinoids, the main one we think of is CBD, and that's what people refer to as CBD oil. You can't really see this well, but it sort of lists what all the effects CBD has. In there are also the THC, and that's the psychoactive part of it. And those aren't necessarily bad. I mean, THC is a potent antiemetic, so anti-nausea medicine, also a potent appetite stimulant. So that's where, with people who are going through chemotherapy, medical marijuana can be very, very, very effective. But that's really all you need THC for. Other than that, it's the psychoactive part. So when that gets taken out, you're left with these cannabinoids. There's probably over 100 cannabinoids, but the main one we look at is CBD. The endocannabinoid system is really our main tool of homeostasis, is what we have found out. It's sort of, I refer to it as a neurotransmitter in the body. And it is present in all vertebrae. And so that's what we said. We were talking earlier about dogs, cats, horses. We all have all vertebrae have an endocannabinoid system. So fortunately, this is pet friendly, and you'll see down the road the things that it can help with, even with pets. And again, just a primary tool of homeostasis, meaning nerve function, stress recovery, inflammation, cell cycle, cell reproduction, circulatory system, bone development, works on osteoblasts, so it actually helps build bone formation. The system is comprised of 2 receptors in our body. We have Cb1 and Cb2 receptors. Then it's also our own endocannabinoids. And then there's also something called the fatty acid amide hydrolase, or our Fda, which is an enzyme which actually breaks down our own endocannabinoids. And we'll get into that a little bit. So the Cb1 receptors in our body are typically in the brain and central nervous system. CB2 receptors are in more of our immune system, so our spleen, our thymus, our tonsils, our white blood cells, T cells, macrophages. That's where the CB2 receptors mainly are. And you look at all these receptors and you say, how can this help so many different things? And that's sort of what you think is it's got to be snake oil. But it's not, because if you look at where those receptors are, that's why it can help in a variety of different conditions. The Cb1 receptors, like I said, mainly in the brain and brainstem. You see them in the cerebellum, and that's where the movement occurs. So that's where it can help with Parkinson's, seizures. The hypothalamus, so appetite. So it does actually suppress appetite a little bit. Where THC actually stimulates it, and THC is a much more potent binder than CB. So when you do smoke marijuana, that's why you get hungry, because that overrides the CBD. It's in the hippocampus, which is more the memory and learning area. It's actually in the amygdala, which isn't listed there, but the amygdala is where we think post-traumatic stress, where the recurrent memories of PTSD occur. So they're looking, actually, University of Miami is doing a study right now on PTSD and post-concussion syndrome with CBD oil. It's a huge study they're doing that's sponsored by the university. And I think we're going to see fantastic results from that. So you can see where it hits, and that's why it can do so many different things. And because of the receptors, the only place there's not any CB receptors are the brain stem, really. And that's why you can't overdose on this. So when people die of overdose of opioids, it's because it suppresses the respiration center in the brainstem. And so they stop breathing. You get too much, MS con, you die, you stop breathing. There is no receptors in that area, so it does not affect your respiration center, which to me is it's probably not by coincidence. I think the good Lord knew that what he was doing and didn't put it in there. So theoretically, you cannot overdose on this. Yeah, I think Matt Andrews said the best. The only way you're going to die of this is if you put a big old bucket of it and drown yourself in it. And that's really the only way that you're going to have any harm come to yourself. This is sort of the way it acts. It's a allosteric modulator, which is meaning that it sort of has direct action on opioid, dopamine, serotonin, but it more just sort of either up or down regulates these areas. And the opioid, obviously, we're using it, and they're actually Indiana University doing a study on opioid addiction and trying to get people off opioids using CBD, because you see how it binds their receptor, and it decreases your withdrawal, decreases the addiction side effects. So that's going to be very interesting. I know the pain guys in town are using this too, because they're seeing the effect. They're trying to get people off these opioids. It actually enhances the opioid as well, so you can use lower doses and still sort of get that same effect. So you can sort of wean people off these, and I think that's going to be a huge part of this as well. But it also works in the dopamine, either upregulates, downregulates. So in working with the dopamine, it helps, again, addiction and some dopamine, depression, ADD as well. So it works in there. Serotonin, mood, anxiety, depression. The two endocannabinoids, like I said, anandamide was the first one, and that's sort of the bliss or happy hormone. It works in pleasure, food intake, reproduction, sleep. It's found in mother's milk, and that's why we think that when the baby is nursing, their eyes roll back, they're really happy. It's because anandamide is transferring through the breast milk. It's also the same if you get that runner's high. We used to say that was an endorphin rush. Endorphins are too large to cross the blood-brain barrier. It's anandamide that's being released and gives you that blissful feeling when you run. I've never had that. Don't ever plan on having that. But if you run long and hard enough, you'll probably get it. They see that deficiencies in anandamide are when you have stress and anxiety. It also has been shown, this study here showed it inhibits breast cancer growth, which is very interesting, and probably part of the reason why people that keep a positive attitude and meditate when they're going through breast cancer do better. It's part of it probably is anandamide's release that might be helping them out. So there is something to say. A positive attitude can be very, very helpful. 2-HE is the other endocannabinoid that we have in our body. And you can see the numerous things it does there, but that's more in the brain, suppresses seizures, helps with blood pressure, regulates gut flora. The other one is it's neuroprotective, and that's why they're doing it in post-concussion syndrome as well. We'll get to that a little bit more here. In 2004, Dr. Ethan Rousseau, who's a neurologist, came up with the term clinical endocannabinoid deficiency. And he found that some of the medical states, the fibromyalgia, the irritable bowel, chronic migraines, depression, anxiety, probably even like an Alzheimer's type dementia, secondary to this clinical endocannabinoid deficiency. I mean, you're low in especially your 2A gene or anandamide. That sort of says the same thing there. So the deficiency is thought to be that Fda that we said, that fatty acid amide hydrolase, breaks down anandamide. And so when levels of that are too high, then that breaks that down and we're low in anandamide. And that's really seen in neuropathic pain, chronic pain, Alzheimer's, dementia. The function of our CBD when it's in our body or when we ingest it, it actually blocks that enzyme from breaking that down. So we have more anandamide in our body to use. It is also thought that it helps increase our body to make anandamide as well. So it works sort of two different pathways. Which, when I first was doing my research, I thought that was all it did, but actually there's great evidence that shows it blocks that Fda enzyme. Some of the studies that have been done, this was a study done in mice that with rheumatoid arthritis, they gave them CBD oil and saw a 50% reduction in the inflammatory arthritis. This is very, very interesting. I think this was done at Hebrew University with Dr. Robert Muchilum, that they induced heart attacks in mice and gave them CBD directly afterwards. And the ones they gave CBD to showed a reduced infarct size of about 60%, which is amazing. And researching this, if you go to Jerusalem and have a heart attack and go to the emergency room, they're giving you CBD oil, which is crazy. The other thing they're doing in Jerusalem is if you go and you have head trauma and go to the emergency room, they're giving you CBD oil, or a concussion or any type of head trauma. They actually are using it in the field. I think in the army there, they carry it, and if they have any head trauma, they administer it right in the field. So they're ahead of the game a little bit. This was a study done that showed actually CBD caused neurogenesis. So it actually stimulated neuron growth in the brain, particularly in the hippocampus is where a lot of our conscious memory is formed. And that's why they're doing it, especially the post-concussion or head trauma, which is very, very interesting. This is a study that showed it did reduce blood pressure. So CBD safety, it's been shown chronic use is a very, very high dose. It's 1,500 milligrams a day and been shown to be very well tolerated in humans. That's a huge dose. The max dose we're using that you're going to absorb is probably 15 milligrams, so very small doses. But it just shows you the safety of this. And really, the high doses in human studies have not shown to induce any side effects in acute or chronic, and no tolerance developed. And part of that is the tolerance part, where THC you can get some tolerance to it because of the way it mediates. The CBD being an allosteric modulator, it does not cause tolerance to build up. And that's another question that's asked a lot. So what to look for in hemp oil, full spectrum hemp oil, CBD oil, a lot of different names for it. One is you want Fda Certified Organic. Why is that so big? Is because hemp is naturally a detoxifant to the soil. I mean, you plant hemp, it pulls up all the bad stuff out of the soil. I think I saw a study that after the Russian Chernobyl accident, they planted hemp all around Chernobyl, harvested it, tested the soil, and it was almost completely devoid of radioactive material. So that just shows you what a potent, so you want organic, because if not, you don't know what you're getting in your hemp oil. And that could be anywhere from arsenic to other heavy metals to all kinds of things. The other thing you want is water soluble. And that's because you get a faster onset of action. The absorption rate is greatly enhanced, so 83 to 94% absorption. Where most oils, when they're not water-based or water-soluble, you're getting about 6 to 10% absorption. Now, I will put a caveat on that. A lot of these companies now are taking their oil and they're adding a medium chain triglyceride to it, which does help absorption a little bit in the gut. But the studies I've seen is probably 20 to 30% absorption. And it gets in 20, 30%, and then boom, it comes right back out. And I will get to a study that ZILIS did here in a little bit. But so you can't really compare, 500 milligrams of 500 milligrams to one is not apples to oranges. So you got to really watch that. The other thing you need is full spectrum. And full spectrum meaning not just CBD, you want everything taken out of the plant. So when they pull out, they take the hemp plant, they process it, you want everything pulled out. And why is that important? Because you get the entourage effect. So not only you get the CBD, CBA, CBG, you're also, which are all the cannabinoids, you're getting the terpenes. Terpenes are when you light it and it has that smell, that's what terpenes are. And they actually have great antifungal, antibacterial properties. Actually, CBD they're doing research right now on MRSA. It's one of the things that will destroy MRSA. The flavonoids are the color, so the green, which are a lot of the omega-3, omega-6s. It comes with the fatty acid. Those are omega-3, omega-6. The flavonoids are what are the flavonoids?
Antioxidants and color, the green.
The green, yeah. So you're getting and then the multivitamins. It's got all the B complexes, vitamin C, vitamin D, and then minerals, magnesium, potassium. So it's thought that whole full spectrum works better than just the isolate alone. So the isolate would just be pulling out CBD by itself, not all the cannabinoids, the terpenes, the flavonoids, fatty acids, vitamins, minerals, and it works much better when they're all together. They call that the entourage effect. This was a study I was talking about. This was done, an independent study Mayo Clinic did on ZILIS, this UltraCell product. They gave people, when they gave 20 people, I think, was it 10 milligrams?
10 milligrams.
And watch every hour, watch the absorption. So this is hour one. You can see it get into the system. By an hour, it's about 90% absorbed and it stays all through there. There's a little bleep there. That probably went through a first pass phase but it went right back up. And this is at 12-hour mark. So you can see how it stays in the system. The absorption rate is great. Where these other ones, if they don't have the nanoparticle or the medium chain triglyceride, you're looking at these things just staying right around here. If it has the triglyceride, it gets up to about 30%, and then boom, starts falling out. So that's one of the reasons you want to look for that water solubility. This little cartoon says, we've exhausted all conventional measures. One last desperate option is to put you on an alternative, I'm going to say supplement, that has a 96% success rate. And that's sort of again, I think when you talk to your physician, and I tell people that start this, is talk to your doctor about it and let them know you're doing it. Because they should know. Most of them are probably going to say, hey, do what you want to do, I don't know anything about it, which is unfortunate. But I think as this gets going, more people are going to understand it, more physicians will try to learn about it. But I think it's important to know. From a side effect standpoint, really, it's very, very clean. The couple places I tell people not to do it, one, if they're on seizure meds and they're well controlled, don't mess with it. There's no reason to, and especially the seizure meds, a lot of times will have therapeutic windows that you want to get in, so there's no reason to mess with it. It does look like the CBD oil does go through a system called the CYP 450 system. And there are some meds, especially Coumadin and warfarin, go through that. I've talked to a lot of people because I can't find anything great that says you can't use it with warfarin. I do have one patient that wanted to try it that's on warfarin. We're just watching his INRs very closely. I haven't seen any problems with it, but that'd be one area I'm still a little leery on. And again, I've really only been using this and doing this for a couple months, so you learn more and more as you get more people telling you stuff and you talk to more docs that are using it. So those are the places that I get leery on using it. From a safety standpoint though, I just don't see any really downside or any other side effects with it. But I do recommend people tell their physician that they're learning about it, they know someone that's been on it, they'd like to try it and see what the physician says.
So I've been doing this for 5 months. I did a video on Facebook, and I talked about all the things that happened in my office I've seen, and I'll just go over some of those. I've got a guy that postponed his knee replacement and baling hay this week, and no problem. Okay, we've got another lady. She's in her 80s, and probably 10 years ago, she fractured 2 vertebrae in her back. Been in tremendous pain since then. Been on up to 8 pain pills a day. And last Friday, she told me she's off all of them. She's on 2 weeks on UltraCell. These are facts. These aren't made up, these things. People coming off their blood pressure in a short amount of time. Pain going away. Neuromas going away, where they've had them for years. And it may take 10 weeks on this stuff, but it goes away. Some side effects I've seen are headaches if they take too much. A text today, a lady was taking it for severe arthritic pain in shoulders and hips, and immediately she was pain-free, was doing great for about a week. Then called the person who sold it to him, and she can't get out of bed because she's in pain again. But she's taking 2 full doses a day. And so we backed her off, told him to back her off to half a dose. We'll see what happens. She'll get better.
Yeah, that's where more is not necessarily better. As
right.
I said, and my partner up north, Dr. Chakaki, has rheumatoid arthritis. He did the same thing Kathy did. Is you're feeling so good, you think, oh, more's got to be better. That's not necessarily the case. The other thing too I'll see is people that are on it, they feel so good that they go out and mow the grass and plow the field, do everything, and they're sore the next day. It's not because of that, it's because they usually don't do anything. So you do see that. Occasionally you'll see some loose stool, and what I think that is the serotonin. So you get a little serotonin surge, and sometimes that will cause a little stool. One that either goes away if you just stay on the same dose, or back it down a little bit, it'll go away as well.
Greensburg, Indiana, and she was invited down. She thought it was for a family event, but she got hooked into listening to a presentation like you're going to listen to. And she came home and said, "Hey, I just joined another company," which she's already joined, makeup and hair, lipstick companies, and I've got that stuff all over my office. I said, "Okay, what is it this time?" I said, "Well, it's CBD oil," which I was really excited about because I've been looking into it. First roadblock was it was illegal in Indiana, but the Governor Holcomb signed it into law on March 21st of this year. And then the second thing I didn't like was that it had too much THC, but she said there's not supposed to be any in this. You can stand up. Make me feel tall. When she said no THC, that's great. Well, I'm not an oil fan, and so I knew it was 6% absorption oil, whether it's chicken grease or it's coconut oil. And she said, well, this is supposed to be water soluble. So then I was hooked. So I tried it. I think she did the same thing that Dave did to Kathy. She's afraid to try it. She let me try it. But I tell you what, 15 minutes, I'm standing in my office, I start to get flush. I start to get warm. I feel like I'm going to pass out. I had just increased my life insurance, so I figured she'd come. And so I said, well, I'll have fun with it, baby. But no, what it was, my blood vessels were opening up. My heart rate was going down. My blood pressure went down. I came off my blood pressure medicine pretty quickly. Didn't tell my doc, but I did it anyway. And I've been off of it since. My pressure stays below where I was on the Synapro. And so I was hooked at that point. I still took a month to try it out with my family, and I just don't talk about it with my patients till we try it out. Well, after 1 month, I started selling it, and it's been nonstop since. We're making a pretty good living at this company. What's nice about hemp, we know it works. But Dave just gave a great presentation on all the things it affects. And the thing is, I don't have enough land to grow hemp. I'm not going to make money that way. I'm not going to open a dispensary if it ever becomes legal in Indiana. I'm just not going to do it. I want part of this because once it becomes a farm commodity, they're projecting that hemp will become, as a textile industry, a multi-trillion-dollar industry. Okay, so They've got the textile industry, they got the farm industry, AMA, Chiropractic Association. They all want this to pass so we can use this stuff. And the only ones battling it are big pharma and the medical marijuana guys because they want control of this stuff. They know how it all works. They don't want us to have it. They want you to have it. And so Dr. Derek Da Silva, he's a genius. He knew the benefits of CBD, so he created a way that he could make it water soluble, 94% absorption, like Dave talked about. Well, his friend, Stephen Thompson, is a very, very smart guy. He graduated from Texas A&M Business College. And when he graduated, his buddies went into corporate America, and he went into direct marketing, word of mouth, multi-level stuff. And his buddies laughed at him. Well, he's 48 years old now. He's laughing at them because he can buy and sell every single one of them. He's a multi-millionaire because he's very successful. He decided to start a company called ZILIS, and he was overseas when he worked for another company. They changed the way they were doing things, became very greedy. He quit on the spot. On the way home, he stopped at Haiti because he'd heard of how the conditions were and the lifestyles of the people, and he wanted to see it for himself, and he did. And he was brokenhearted over it. And so he decided if he and his wife ever started a company, it was going to be a pay-it-forward company. We're going to help people. But Derek Da Silva, he's the president and founder of the ANA, American Nutrition Association. Very famous guy. He's been interviewed by all those TV companies. He's friends with Dr. Oz. He's friends with Sanjay Gupta, you see on CNN. And he's the formulator of this product that we have. He's a pretty good guy. This is what we sell. This is UltraCell. This is our gold standard. I call it gold in the bottle, best stuff on the planet. I'll tell everybody that because I've seen it, Dave has seen it, and people are feeling it. It's organically grown, very important, naturally extracted. They use pressure. They don't use chemicals. They don't use detergents to make it water soluble. Nobody has a formula like it, and it's very pet friendly. The thing with CBD, when they did studies on rats and cats and dogs, it makes them faster, quicker, stronger. It doesn't do that for us. We get a little bit of that, but it makes us cognitive-wise, we're sharper. Focus is better, and motivation is better. What it does for us. I guess our brains are so large, it has to do it that way. Technology, this is the graph that Dave showed you, the bioavailability. It was done in February of 2018. Dr. Derek Da Silva put it together, but the Mayo Clinic, research clinic, did it. That gives us a third party that we can go out and tell people that our stuff's real. We're not making anything up. So, next slide.
It's very hard to find graphs from other companies.
Yeah, we've got one we found, but
yeah.
the company did it themselves.
Right, and it wasn't very good.
It was horrible.
Yeah, and I've called other companies and asked them for bioavailability studies, and they're like, yeah, okay, we gotta go, bye. And they just don't have them.
Yeah. I went into our local health food store. This guy's very sharp. He's like number 3 in Nature Sunshine selling stuff. I talked to him about this. He has CBD on his shelf. I said, Jerry, this stuff's oil-based. He goes, I know, 6% absorbed. So he already knew it before I told him. I said, what if I have a 94%? What would you do? He said, you got something like that? So I took 2 weeks trying to talk to him about it. I went back on my 3rd week, and he said, I talked to some oil specialists, and he sells doTERRA, essential oils. And he said, the efficiency's not there, what you're saying. I said, well, who did you talk to? And he said, well, doTERRA. Well, they're oil. They're not going to admit that. So he can't show me a bioavailability. I showed him ours. And so he still hasn't signed up. I'll get him. All right. Next slide. Oh, no, go back. That's right. You're right. Okay, this is the challenge. What we do is we have a 7-day samples. And for $30, or for free, whatever you want to do, you give them a sample, have them go home, take it, show them how to take it, and come back a week later, and they're gonna feel something. 80% of the people will feel something. They sleep better, or they're more relaxed, they're more focused, their energy has increased, and they want to know more. Then we talk to them about, let's do it 30 days. Let's see what it does for you. That's when their aches and pains will go away, their headaches go away, their life changes. They don't have to change anything. They don't change their diet. They don't have to exercise more. And it still works. We have 3 other products that we sell. The purple one, the Dream, is to help people sleep. And it works. My daughter takes it. She swears by it. But it really does work. If you have trouble sleeping,
I'll take that without reason, right?
but you know what? I've never taken it because I can lay down right here and fall asleep in 2 minutes. I don't have any problems. But that's reported by, maybe it's a genetic thing. It's just my family. It tells me that they have these crazy dreams. But people that have a hard time falling asleep, they fall asleep easily. If they wake up, they fall right back to sleep. A lot of people have trouble when they wake up, they can't get back to sleep. But this stuff is helping them get right back to sleep. And if you wear a Fitbit, it's been proven. You know, the people that, those things are nice. The orange is a cognitive, and it has stuff in there that Europe and Japan are using as far as schizophrenia and bipolar. Their results are better than ours when we use our chemicals and our drugs. We're still way behind. You know, I don't understand that. But it's taking long-term memory into short-term memory, or short-term memory into long-term memory, I'm sorry, the other way around. For the dementia patients, you know, you walk in and visit them, walk out of the room, come back, they didn't remember you were there, or they think of you as their dad or their mom. But it's helping with some of that stuff, what's in here. A lot of vitamin B12 in the water form, the methyl form.
So for dementia, what's happening physiologically in the brain?
I didn't hear the first part of your question.
For dementia, for Alzheimer's.
Mhm.
It's amyloid plaque in
Right,
the brain.
so what does that do?
This has citicoline in it, and they've done studies that it's opening up, actually repairing the cell wall. It's removing those toxins, those plaquings from some of those cells. They're finding that in Japan and Europe. And the CBD is actually doing better.
Yeah, that's doing really well. So they've done studies, they've done rat studies with dementia, with amyloid plaque on the brain, and treating for an extended period of time, and it's shown reduction in amyloid plaque. Yeah. Now again, that's my study. So the problem with it is you're not going to get, these are all sort of preclinical studies, you're not going to get a randomized double-blind placebo study, because the drug companies usually have to do those. They're very expensive and tedious. But we're starting to see more universities actually doing some studies with the CBD oil. And so I think that's where it's going to be. They're going to have to get grants from the universities to do them. But I think that's where we're seeing it. IU's one of them, University of Miami is another one. So
I think the government will fund some research, but what they're going to find out is this takes years and a lot of money, and they're going to come and tell us what we already know. Because we're using it, we're going to see that. But it'd be great to have that stuff to back us up. These are just boosters. The CBD does the work. CBD normalizes your healing. I call it the water softener. You put a water softener in your body. Hard water goes in, hard water comes out, unless you put salt in. I call this stuff the salt. So if they're nutritionally, they need some help, we give them this stuff. Blue is the ice. It's an anti-inflammatory, kind of homeostasis. It normalizes everything. And so these are good sellers too. I sell a lot of this stuff, all three of them. Okay, the Pay It Forward company, I told you about the Haiti trip. Well, every item that's sold through this company, they buy a day vitamin pack for kids, or prenatal vitamins for moms. And now, not just Haiti, it's in all 50 states and all over the world. They've grown so much. This was in February. They gave 5 million vitamin packs out. It's reduced infant mortality 29%, and it continues on. The company grows, this continues to grow. All right, so we've got a situation here. We've got something that works really well. It's taken away from us. The government's doing their job and bringing it back to us. We have a unique product because it's water soluble, about 10 to 30 times more effective than oil-based CBD. Oil-based CBD works. Ours works better. Okay, we've had this product for 11 months, not even a year yet. It has grown 1,600% since it was introduced last August, and it continues to grow. Indiana was their biggest state. Florida has caught up and is passing us. We've got Montana catching up. We've got Wisconsin catching up. But it's wide open, the rest of the country. Arkansas, Alabama, West Virginia, they don't know about it. I did a seminar, or did a presentation in Southern Ohio. Half of those people didn't even know what CBD was. We're in something brand new. Like I said, I wasn't going to grow fields of hemp. I can't get involved other than this way. And so Stephen Thompson has set up a company. You can continue to buy it from. We sell it for $125 a bottle for a month's supply. You can continue to buy it that on retail, or you can get involved in the company and buy it wholesale. And I think right now I've been doing this 4 months. We've got 160 people that are out there selling this stuff, and still we're just starting. The company, what it does, it pays you 7 ways. It is a multi-level. People complain about that, but when you look at corporate America, That's the biggest multi-level scam around. The CEO makes all the money. And this, this is what this company does. Everybody has a chance. A true pyramid is you can't outpass the people above you. I've already passed the two ahead of me. Dave's going to pass me if he keeps it up. And he's doing that well. So it's not stagnant. Anybody can do anything. They pay out just like any other company. Retail profit, I'm making $70 a bottle. I buy it wholesale, bulk, I sell for $125. Fast start bonus, when I signed Dave up, I got $130. And everybody else had signed up. And what level you sign them up, I made you some money. Those two things are paid weekly. The binary team, you work with two people, that's it. I have two teams, okay? Dave, Kathy, they're on my left side. I have a whole bunch of other, I got a local hip hop artist here in Fort Wayne. He's on my right side. He's got 40,000 followers on Facebook and Instagram. So he's selling this stuff all over the world. And so I got two sides I have to work with, and it's so much fun. It's kind of a competitive thing. It's called the binary. You get paid as people get signed up. There's generational bonus, which I make 5% off of those 160 people below me. When they order a product, I make 5%. And so that's another way that you get paid. Next, the Affinity Bonus happens after you get to what we call area. Well, I'm in area, and we went regional, next one up. That opens up all kind of, money is coming at us in unbelievable different ways, okay? So you get to area, that take that much, you get 4 people, and you help them get their 4 people, and it happens so fast because we got something so new and everybody wants to know about it, okay? Benefits program and revenue sharing. And this is the retail profit. You do not have to report this to the company. When you order the product, the Indiana sales tax is taken out. The company does that. You don't have to keep that bookwork. They do it for you. They will 1099 you at the end of the year. So the tax work, ZILIS does that for you. It makes it so much simpler for you. Binary team I told you about. You make 20% on team enrollments. Everybody that signs up, you're making 20%. And then you're making, when they buy a product, you make 5% on that. These are the different levels. You come in associate, there's the max that you can make. 250, 500, 750. Just like any other business, as you do better, you get promotions. You get promoted through. Dave's getting ready to hit the area there. I'm at regional. It's going to be a little while before I get to that green one at national. But so many things open up. You working hard, and it becomes very, very beneficial. Benefit program they have is very cool. First benefit you get is called a blessing bonus. You get $100. You have to give it away. You cannot keep it. We gave our first one to a girl that just signed up with us. As soon as she signed up, her car quit working, her washer quit working, and her plumbing went bad in her house. So we gave her the $100 bonus, and she started bawling, and because we didn't know what to do with it. We've given it to the dog pound. You can give it a profit or non-profit, an individual, a pet store, whatever you feel like. Whoever needs it, you give it to them. Take a picture of you giving it to them, because ZILIS could ask you to verify that. Next benefit, when you reach area, is a Jeep. They'll buy you a Jeep. You go, you pick it out, you order it, you finance it, they pay you. Okay? So we decided not to get a Jeep, so we get half. So the first month, the first one, the area is $400 a month, we get $200. I have 6 kids, I got 6 cars, I don't need another one. Don't need another one. All right. Next benefit, they pay your health care. They'll pay you $500 a month, that first level, and then it keeps going up to $1,500 a month. And so now I'm gaining an extra $50 a month because they're paying my $450 premium. So that's kind of nice. And then they do a profit share, 2%. 2% of everything the company does goes into a pool and you dish it out every quarter. And so you gain those, you earn those, and they're kind of nice. Next, all right, the way we do this, you share your story. Okay, my story is my energy, my blood pressure. My mom's story is that she's AFib, she's on blood thinners. 3 weeks, she's almost there to normal rhythm. Before I couldn't count her pulse, now I can count it at 71, 72 sometimes. So she's so close. Even if she doesn't get into normal rhythm, she's got more energy. she feels better about herself. So she's coming to see you, by the way, soon. You share the video. There's a video. It's kind of dynamic video. It's a raw video. But you share the challenge. You give them a bottle. Anybody in here have tried the UltraCell? Has anybody tried it yet? Yeah. Got any stories? I know you do. You got a great. Tell your story. Because I love your story. I love your story.
We moved here and suddenly I felt ill. I had everything you could imagine and I just had no energy. Even didn't work for 4 months. And for 21 years, I was pretty much like that. I'd have good weeks, I'd have good months, but most of the time I was too exhausted to do anything except go to work and then die.
We both thought you
His
were
sister, who I work with, she said, I think it might help you, and I had no hope that it would help. I really didn't know anything about it. The first week, I wasn't sure. The second week, I knew something had drastically changed. First of all, because I'm mentally sharp and focused again, but my energy level was back. Because I would get so exhausted, I honestly thought I would die. Like my heart would stop beating, I'm just dropped in and died. I have not had that day since I started to take it, probably a month and a half ago. And I am still at that level. I feel great, I'm functioning, I'm doing things I haven't been able to do in years. I used to teach aerobics 100 years ago, and I actually think I want to go back to exercise again. But along with that came the IBS is gone, headaches are gone, energy levels up, I sleep awesome. So my anxiety level at night, which kept me awake, is gone. I don't lay there and think about every problem in the world. I just go to sleep. So I'm sleeping great, and I feel 100% better.
Yeah, that's a good example of how it hits different receptors. And so, the IBS, it's a potent anti-inflammatory, tuned in necrosis factor. That's where it works on IBS. It works anxiety, it works fibromyalgia. I mean, it just works different areas. It sounds too good to be true, but you hear stories like this, and we hear them every day.
Yeah, it does sound too good to be
It
true.
does, and I think people think that, and I thought that myself. And Susan was very, pessimistic,
Yes.
and that's why she goes, if it works for Pauletta, then I'm gonna be a believer.
Yeah.
And Susan's, the biggest believer now because she's seen the trend, and how well you're doing. So it's hard to believe something can be that good, and again, it doesn't work for everybody. I would say probably 85% success rate though.
I'm seeing better than that.
Yeah,
Now they're saying 80, but I'm seeing.
Yeah. And again, we say you don't have to do anything else. I still in my practice, I still eat healthy, exercise, do everything else. Just add this on to it. So we still want that full wellness, and this is going to cure everything. But the changes I've seen in patients and people can be dramatic. I mean, it can be incredible.
The biggest skeptics I've found are the chiropractors that have called me. It can't be this good. Well, it is this good, because I would have answered this. I would have said the same thing if I were called. If it hadn't been my wife, which I had to listen to her, another chiropractor called me, and I was, yeah, right. So it's the same thing with these guys that show up at my door want to sell me the next best product. But this is the real deal. This is the real deal for most people. And this company is the real deal. I've met with Steven, we talked to him, Dave's talked to him. He's the real deal.
Yeah,
He
and
knows what he's doing.
I tell my patients too that have been on it before I put them on or on it. And it's not going to necessarily, you're not going to be able to come off all your medicines necessarily. But what I have seen is being able to dose reduce a lot of medicines. And a lot of the side effects we see aren't because it's the full spectrum hemp oil. It's because you're taking that and you don't need as much medicine as you need. You're seeing the side effects of the medication. So a lot of times being able to dose reduce it can be very beneficial.
It's safer if they work with their doc. I always tell them, work with your doc. Yeah.
I just want to say something. I'm Paulette's husband.
Yeah.
And there's a residual effect with family members, let me tell you. Because, it was like she was almost dead for the last 20 years, and she's fully alive again. I'm telling you. And when she started taking it, she'd become a real pain in the butt, and it even your back. So it has tremendous effects. I love
Well, that's the part that's changing lives. It's change your health. It's changing life and relationships.
We're learning how to live together again. Because I was telling a guy the other day about what it did for her. I'm trying to get him a trial size bottle and get him on it. And I told him a little bit of her story about 20 plus years, fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue syndrome, irritable bowel syndrome, you know, and just a hot mess. And we didn't do much of anything for 20 years. You know, it's just been, she works, she comes home, she recuperates, and then she goes back to work. And then the weekends, it's the same thing. I'm like, hey, what about me? And he looked at me and he said, why did you stay with her all the years? And I mean, and that really hit me the wrong way. And I said, look, I don't know about you, but I took vows 38 years ago, and I meant what I said. Or worse, sickness and in health till death do us part. And that's the way it's going to be. And so, it really has a significant effect on more than just the person that's taking it. So, you know, do everything you can to get this going with people that are hurting, because it has a far-reaching effect.
And Miss Josie has a little story too.
Josie would like to tell us.
Yeah, thanks for putting me on the spot, Mom. So, actually, I am a Division I basketball player at Youngstown State University, and 5 months ago, I got into a really bad car accident. I actually, believe it or not, got ran over by a semi. My car got lodged under his back wheels, and he dragged me down the interstate without knowing that I was stuck under him.
Oh no.
And for the last 5 months, I've had like really bad anxiety and depression from the accident that like coincides with the PTSD. But I've been on an opioid since January. I started with Percocet and then went to Tramadol, and now I'm on hydrocodone. Well, I just recently got a spinal fusion, and I called Dr. Lynch because I was freaking out because I thought I was starting to get addicted to opioids, and I didn't want to be on them for a long period of time because I already have been. So he recommended taking the CBD, and I've been taking it once to twice a day since, and it's actually helped get me off of the opioids, and it's helped with sleeping and the anxiety and depression, and the pain has gone almost away, like 100%. So I've been taking it from a car accident, and it has helped a lot with really every aspect of it.
And as her mom, I will say, she was the most resilient person ever. She kept saying, it's a placebo. It's a placebo. Until she talked to Dr. Lentz, and then I knew nothing anymore. And so she decided to try it.
Yeah, I do have him on speed dial, so I just call him whenever I'm
Since third grade.
Yeah, since third grade.
And she had, a huge disc, and again, this probably wasn't going to shrink the disc down and keep her from having a surgery. So she needed the surgery, but we can use this, to maybe not use the opioids or come off the opioids. And say, this is great, but again, it doesn't necessarily mean you come off meds or things. And that's why we say really work with your physician or let them know you're on it. And I tell people, if someone comes in with pneumonia, I'm not going to tell them to try full spectrum hemp oil. We're going to put them on pneumonia. So I'm not, but the things that you see that this can do for people, it is pretty impressive.
Yeah, that's how this is going. I'm so convinced on the way this is set up. I'm the oldest of 7, and I bought all my siblings a spot in this company. I have 6 kids. I bought all of them a spot, and it is it's something unique that's going on right now. This is once in a lifetime opportunity. So got something that works really, really well, and you can make money out of it.
Can you talk a little bit more about dosing? And also sometimes people get really discouraged if it doesn't work like today or tomorrow. Pauletta's story is really great because it's been the first couple of weeks, but I encourage people to stay on it. It's the right dose today.
That's the hardest thing.
I think we disagree on dosing, but we'll get together on it.
Yeah.
I like how Dave's doing it.
That's the hardest part of this whole thing, and why is because everyone is individualized. So it's not milligram per kilogram. It's not, everyone's individualized. So someone might just need 3 or 4 drops once a day or twice a day, where someone needs a full dropper once a day. So what I tell people is you got to listen to your body, and it's weird, but your body will tell you what you need. You just got to listen to it. Whether it's too much or too little, your body will tell you. There's certain conditions I think it's better to dose once a day versus twice a day. So like ADD, I usually say, those kids that, less dopamine, they need higher dose. So I tell them take full dropper once in the morning time. And they usually do wonderful with that. But they can do that because that's what they need. Chronic pain, neuropathic pain, that's usually where I'll dose twice a day. you know, if you look at that curve, it's at 12 hours, it starts coming out. They don't go 13, 14, 15, but my guess is it starts coming out of the system at some point. So that chronic pain, I usually dose twice a day to keep some in the system. Now, does it have to be equal to equal? No, I'll have people go 14 drops in the morning and 6 in the evening, because they went too high in the evening and it stimulated them and they didn't sleep. But 6 drops at night, they sleep great, and they can bump the morning one up. So that's the hardest part of this whole thing, is how to tell people to do it. I tell people, don't get discouraged though. Stay on it for a month. That's why the 7-day trial is good, and it works. Some people it works in 20 minutes. I felt it within an hour in my office. I'm like, gosh, I'm not achy. This is nuts. But some people it would take 3 or 4 weeks. My dad, he's got bad sciatic. He's a dermatologist in town and was most skeptical about this, but I said, try it for your sciatic. He's done everything, therapy, injections. Took him about 3 or 4 weeks, and he's like, gosh, he goes, it's feeling good. First 2 weeks, he's like, this is, it's not doing anything, not doing anything. I said, stay with it, stay with it. I think about 3 to 4 weeks, he called me, I'm driving home, he goes, son, he goes, my sciatic feels great. And now he's the biggest believer, and actually probably tells more people in his office about it than anybody else. Because it is one of those things, when it works for you, you want to tell people at least to try it, to see what it does. And the science is there, the science is behind it. So it's not anything, we're not pulling, this is a berry from South Africa, and, a rat ate it, and now it's got magic potion. This is, there's science behind this, and this has been around forever, And I tell them, medical marijuana works. This is that without the THC. That's been around forever, and it works wonderfully. But you don't want that THC component. You just need the cannabinoids to do what they do. Whether it's anti-inflammatory, whether it's anxiety, whether it's mood, But the dosing is the hardest part. I wish we had a great answer to say, everyone needs 5 drops twice a day, but that's not the case.
Jim.
Yeah, I should have probably got permission from my family doctor before I did it, but my family doctor actually got me on it a month ago, Dr. David Less. So he's the one that got me going on it. But I, for years, have taken Adderall for ADD, and by about the afternoon, there's that intense focus that Adderall gives you. But by the afternoon, you kind of lose it, and it's swirl, and you're all over the place. So I started taking a dropper full of UltraCell, and then I take just a little bit of edge to give me a little extra boost, and it'll last all day long. And then at night, I've always been that one that I'll lay there for an hour or two, I can't fall asleep, and then if somebody does wake me up, I'm up. So I do take a little bit of dream at night, and those 3 products right there have changed my life. The Adderall, it's been awesome to be off of it, but you still have, maybe there's always an anxiousness. There's like a motor inside you that's just constantly all the time. Well, now I have this real calm effect. I still have the focus, but I'm just a lot more calm. Don't feel the anxiousness. And then I've been sleeping. My wife Carly here falls asleep in about 5 seconds anyway.
You're usually asleep before she is. What are you talking about?
You have vampires chasing you?
What's that?
You have vampires chasing you on the creek?
Yeah, no, I haven't.
Yeah. No, my daughter uses the sleep one too and loves it. So she's fantastic.
So when you use it as a sleep aid, do you take it at night?
The UltraCell?
Yeah.
Yes, and that's the thing too, yes and no. Yeah, I took it, the first time I took it, I took a half a drop in the morning and a half at bedtime. I was awake all night. My eyes straight ahead, could not sleep at all. I was just super hyper focused. The weird thing is I woke up the next morning, I felt pretty good, which is really weird. Didn't sleep at all and I felt good. So the next night, I took my morning dose, actually bumped it up a little bit and just took like 2 or 3 drops at night. And that's how I dose. I do about 14 in the morning and like 2 or 3 at night. And for me, that works. So I took too much at night, I was hyper-focused, but it does help me focus during the day. So, and I probably have a little, my son has ADD, I probably have a little ADD too. So when I take it during the day, I am laser focused. I get, and I notice that my charts are done, things are done. And I don't have a whole charts I gotta do it in the day or come in on the weekend. But it's variable, so it's yes and no, take it at night. Some people can take it in the morning, and so it works in a sleep-wake cycle. So some people just take it in the morning. They can take a half a drop or a full drop in the morning. So it stimulates you during the day, and then at night it flips that sleep cycle. and so you sleep better. So you don't necessarily have to take it at nighttime to sleep better. That's one of those where you got to play with it and see what works for you.
So how are milliliters equated to milligrams for this product?
The UltraCell is 500 milligrams in that bottle. So this big bottle is 500 milligrams of cannabinoid, of CBD, the full spectrum CBD. So each dropper, 20 drops is 1 ml.
Okay.
So there's 30 mLs in there. So there's basically a month's supply if you use 1 dropper full, or 20 drops a day, 1 ml. You absorb about 93%, so you're getting about 15 milligrams of CBD, full spectrum CBD per dropper, per 20 ml, or 20 drops, 1 ml. And that's what we say when we compare these two other oils. So my wife went out, she thought, I didn't know how to get this, I didn't call Scott. We ran out of it, she freaked out, went down to somewhere and bought a Green Gorilla. Use brand names. Green Gorilla, which is an oil-based product, 500 milligrams. But if you look at it, it probably absorbs 6 to 10%. So she was really getting 1 milligram of full spectrum CBD versus 15 milligrams.
So 500 milligram bottle, 6% is 30 milligrams. 15.5 bottles equal ours.
Yeah, so really it's about 15 to 1 ratio. So when you look at price, there's no comparison.
Sure.
And then some of these companies will have 2,500 milligrams per 30 ml. But again, that's maybe equivalent to what this is, but you're paying, I've seen it up to $2,000 before. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. So
how much do you pay for a gallon?
Good question. Actually, yeah. I mean, hemp oil is very expensive, believe it or not. Yeah, I think they say a kilogram of hemp oil is worth about $30,000 or $35,000. So it's very expensive stuff. Yeah. Hopefully, when that farm bill passes and we can grow more hemp in the United States, that price will come down. But right now, it's tough to get hemp. I mean, I think Steven said that they have contracted. They get their hemp from Colorado, organically grown, and they have contracted. They bought enough like a year and a half in advance, so they don't want to run out of this. They've had no troubles ever filling orders. I mean, he really prides himself on running a very, very good company. Completely, you can go online, you can use the code, you see what's in it. He wants to be completely transparent, and that was the one thing. And I got into this, and that multi-level marketing, I didn't like that. I didn't really want to do this. I liked what it did for my patients, what I was hearing and stuff. The company though, one, is brilliant because it's word of mouth that gets people buying this or hearing about it. So it was, yeah. So the marketing is genius. He's a very, very bright guy. Yeah, I've talked to him when he was in Fort Wayne. He's just a bright guy, good businessman. But he cares about the company, about the people. So it's one of those things that I sort of got over that multi-level marketing. Like you said, that's sort of life in general. I didn't get into this to make a lot of money or do anything. But as you can see, you can make a lot of money in it. I mean, it's pretty crazy.
So the financial incentives, are they available in the stock market?
No. This is a private, you mean, can you buy stock in the company? No, it's a private company. And that's what I was sort of saying after hearing about this. I was sort of like, Scott,
That's the first thing you
I was
asked.
like, I gotta get it. I go, I just wanna buy stock in the company. And so actually I bought stock in hemp, H-E-M-P, the symbol, which is like penny stock now, it's up to like 4 cents. So that's, but no, it's a private company, so you cannot buy stock in the company. So the only way to get in it is to be an ambassador and get people to try, get people to sell it, get people to, to do it that way. I wish it was, I would have bought stock, 2 months ago when I found out about it.
Any research on hot flashes?
Good question.
I do want to know that. I was at an appointment today and a lady was asking me about it, and she said all of a sudden she started hot flash. So I was going to ask you tonight. So she was like, "Can I try a bottle?" She goes, "I'm having hot flashes that are."
It's a long thing.
Yeah, I have not done, I can try to research that and say, I have not seen anything as far as hot, the vasomotor, postmenopausal.
But it's not gonna hurt you to try it. No,
Right, it's not
that's the way I
gonna
look
hurt
at
you.
it.
And that's the way I look at it too. I tell people, I go, it's worth trying. I go, the worst case is you're out $120 and it didn't work for you. You know, and you might be one of the 15%, 10% of people that doesn't do it anymore. You know, and does everybody need it? No, everyone doesn't need it. But I will say, you know, in modern day society, we're probably all inflamed. You know, from our diets to what we're eating to, you know, it really is.
That causes so much disease.
Right, and in our brains, our cognitive ability, our, yeah. And so, you know, does everyone need it? Probably not, but then on the other hand, probably so. But it's one of those things that, you know, you're not going to convince everyone to try it, but I'd like to give them a big bottle and say, you know, just try it. What are you going to be out? $120, and you might be coming back, you know, the happiest person with a changed story like Paulette.
Okay, so then if we want to try it, I think she sells it here?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
she
have
does.
some for sale tonight, I have a,
Okay.
what's up there
And
today?
then if we had questions or that, can we call you?
She has her cards up there too.
I have my cards up there.
And I have all the papers.
Josie has a pad
Okay.
that she'll give everything.
Okay,
She's all
so
set
then
up.
you too are, okay,
I am.
okay, all
Yeah,
right.
she's a great ambassador.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, and the thing is, you know, if you really don't even sell this stuff. It sells itself. People hear about it, they want to know about it. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, people know my wife is taking it or needs it from tennis, and then, you know, everyone's asking about it or wanting it or trying it, want to try it. I mean, it's crazy.
I'm in Bluffton, there's 8,000 people in Bluffton. We do a tremendous business, and I have a sign out there, and a lot of this is walk-in. About every fifth one that walks in finds out there's 0 THC, and they walk out, because that's why they're there. We send them to the smoke shop, and they've got the THC. But okay, that stats for 3 months, so little town of Bluffton, first month we did 12,000 retail, 16,000 the next month, and then 14,000, and that's a lot for a little town of Bluffton. And so it sells itself. Yeah, people are looking for it. They want it.
And
So-
sharing your story is the best thing you can do. Yeah, that's really where it's at.
Is it safe to take with, I take an antihistamine I went out on that hydroxyzine?
Yeah.
And you think it's,
No, I mean, really, and we're using such little doses too. That's the thing. We're not using mega doses, but no, really. And I've looked for all kinds of things. You know, I want to find something bad, some interaction, something, and you just really can't find it. I just don't see any downside. You just see possible upside.
Yeah.
And it's.
Do you guys have to warehouse all this product, or how does the whole supply chain go? Does it mean, people walk in your office, they must be buying it off the shelf. They're
Take
taking
mine
it
off the shelf and it ran out this week. And I order 4 cases at a time or more. And I just can't keep it.
So you order the big bottles then?
I order big and littles, and I order all of it. I just got
Probably not to that degree, because we don't have a retail. I don't. So we just more, like I said, my dad is a huge proponent of this now. So he'll see someone in his office, is treating a skin lesion, but he knows they have some other problem. He's like, hey, you might want to try CBD. I used it on myself. It works great. And then he gives. My wife has a card. She does most of this. I'm not in as much of the selling, and we don't retail it, so we just sell it to individuals.
I'm going to a pickleball tournament this week and I'll take some product and I have a little sign to set up.
Yeah.
I'll probably, I met a lady there that wants to get involved, so we'll sell together and see how,
But we do buy in bulk too. I mean, we bought, my sister's